hopefully. Okay, guys. So, like, I never start on time, right? And so I decided maybe what I should start doing is just starting when I'm actually getting ready for this because I'm sitting over here having way too much fun. So you can see there's this video. You guys are going to be tortured. So I don't see anybody live right now. And well, let me start off with good evening, local warriors. This is Dana, and welcome to Local Wars. If you're on the replay crew, which is the majority of our viewers, all I ask is that you please like and subscribe, and we can grow the channel and continue spreading the message of goodwill to our fellow men and women. Okay, so here comes a little torture. I just can't, though. And tonight we're going to be talking about Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road, Part 2. I was going to listen to Part 1, but so there'll be some overlap. That's okay. This episode might be more fun anyways, so. Let's see here. Oops. This is happening. Are you guys ready for this? Who has the tie? What is happening? Oh my god. Anna, you're not a crazy fit lady. Are you sure about In my defense, I did not make it. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it all. Oh no! There's like a whole other minute, guys. Oh my god. Oh, look at that. What is that? Wow. This is intense. I don't think I've had this much fun since college. I think I had that much fun in college. Oh my god, it's still going. Oh my god. Oh. Wow. That was a lot. I'm just going to switch the lighting a little bit. Hope you guys can hear me. I'm just using AirPods tonight, so trying out different things. Oh. Well, that kind of looks spooky. The chicken crossed the road. Why did the chicken cross the road, Dana? Anyways. So, I have some updates, and we're gonna go over them. So this week, coming up, so I think it's on Tuesday, there is a there is a jury trial. So that's why we are talking about chickens tonight. So I'll kind of try to give you a little bit of like a breakdown in like the history of the chicken issue. This time I think it's chicken. No chickens. This case, this trial. So for those of you that are new, I always start off a little like I've got all these ideas running through my head about what I want to cover and what I want the show to be about. And so um my mind runs really, really fast. And so I just sometimes it takes me a few minutes of just talking things out, just kind of prep or whatever. I don't think the chicken song helped too much. How could I think about anything else? That was like dancing chicken. You think that guy, like, or girl, whoever is making those videos, like, they're not boring people. I know for certain, those people are not boring people. Oh my gosh. Ugh, I love weird crap like that. Just makes me laugh. Um, so I know that there's a lot of questions. So I'll kind of just tell you the basics of what I hear. So the story goes like this. People that live in Richfield or people that don't, they're driving around and they come by the pit and they see chickens or ducks. There's been goats. And so I know that a lot of people in the community know about this issue, and they always ask me the same thing. Well, why don't you just like keep your chickens out of the road, Dana? And I understand their point. I do understand their point. But what I always come back to is this really about chickens? And I'm going to show you why. And tonight that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how when you stand up to your local government, that there's all of these like retaliatory things that people can do. And sometimes, like in my case, I do believe that there's actual provable collusion going on. But like as far as the chicken situation goes, it's just as simple as like these people got mad at me over the scenic pit issue. So the neighbors that share a boundary line with me, they're mad at me. They're mad about the scenic pit. He even said at one of the board meetings that he had wanted to buy it. I don't know why he didn't. I'm not privy to that kind of information, but he could have bought it. I mean, it was on the market. Going through old emails, I actually saw there was like messages or screenshots I had taken of a conversation about how somebody thought that it was shady because the property was always like $1 million, and then we bought it for far less than that, and so it must have been some sort of conspiracy. I don't know what they were trying to say, but the reality is that it was for sale, and it was listed at 500,000. It was 499, 999. I still remember. And then we offered 380, and then they accepted 445. So that's what we bought it for. So anyways, this neighbor to the south is very angry about the pit situation. doesn't want the business operating there. So back when all of this had started, because I thought what the Village of Richfield was doing was so wrong, I actually, with the support of my family at the time, ran for trustee. And again, I have this way of being very naive, and but this is why I'm sharing my story, guys, because I like to think of the good in people. My friends are constantly trying to remind me that not everybody is so well intended, Dana. But I really did think that when we first started, that if we um sorry, I got to gather my thoughts. Okay. I really believed that we could gosh, I'm my mind is racing. Breathe. It'll come back. I don't know about you guys, but like if I forget a thought, then I think even more because I'm a thinker. My brain's like, neurodivergency is always a fun thing. Um, but what happens in my mind is I'll start thinking, oh no, what if I have Alzheimer's? And then the more I worry about not being able to remember it, I keep forgetting it more. But really, it's because I'm occupied in my mind with worrying that I'm going to forget rather than actually trying to remember what yeah. I didn't know if anybody out there could relate, but that's where I'm at tonight. um, so in the beginning, I really did think that um, the government, like, I didn't realize how, like, local government, like, I knew nothing about local government issues, right? I didn't pay attention. I mean, at one point, I knew, there were a couple issues, like when the village was going to become a village and it was a town, and then there was that, like, I think it was around the time Cabela's came in to Richfield, and we would joke and be like, "We're gonna be at civil war with Germantown," you know? But anyways, and then that's when we became a village. Well, I think it was like 2008, maybe 2007, somewhere in that time frame, around the time that John Macy came in, and Payne and Dolan, and John Jeffords. It was a really popular time. But anyways, so I never really followed things that were going on, and in my mind, I'm thinking, we bought this property, I read the zoning, it was still zoned M5, mineral extraction, so I'm like, "Oh, well, you're still zoned to be a mine, right?" If I wanted to, I did a whole bunch of research and talked to attorneys, but, like, one of the things, I could have done from the beginning was I could have actually mined it because it only had 1 permitted use in the mineral extraction district, which was M5. And if I would have applied to mine it, I would have had rights to mine it. Jim Healy should know that, and John Macy. Um, so yeah, I could have mined it, but that's not what we wanted to do. We weren't interested in mining. We were interested in accepting clean fill to restore the site and have it, for the end land use. So, um, back when all of this first started happening, I thought to myself, you know, how how can a municipality unilaterally rezone someone's property, right? Because they basically brought the comprehensive plan change and the uh, rezoning and all of that. They brought it within, like, in front of the board, and they never even contacted the previous property owner. I remember I did call Alberta Darling's office during that time, and I'm like, how can Richfield unilaterally rezone this property? Like, I don't know, it just made common sense to me, like, a property owner should be notified before they're property is gonna be rezoned. Just seems like common sense, like, oh, there's that word again. But it's just like a courtesy thing. I feel like it should be constitutional, like, I don't think anybody would be okay with a municipality just willy-nilly rezoning their property. I mean, that's a big deal. It's not the government's property, but that's what they did. And like I always say, if they can do it to me, guys, they can do it to you. They can do it to your neighbor, they can do it to your family and your loved ones, and it's not okay. Well, Alberta Darling's office was shocked too. They're like, I guess, they can technically. I was like, "Wow, that needs a change," right? There was one plan commissioner that actually voted against, um, the rezoning and all that, and it was because, nobody had contacted the property owner. That was his whole reason. He got a lot of pushback from people for quite some time because he was the only local official in any capacity that was like, I don't like how this doesn't pass the sniff test for me. And I do appreciate him for that. I always forget to put up the comments just to see. And again, for the replay crew, remember to like, subscribe, and share, and people who are alive too. Okay. So, I ran for village board. I figured, well, maybe these people don't understand. And I asked a few other people in the village at the time. I'm like, "Hey, maybe you should run for the board." "Oh, no," you know? Well, in talking to John Macy and Jim Healy at one of their meetings, they kept talking about this person that they've had all these problems with, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" So I start looking it up. Well, it ends up being Jeff Gagno, but, I start looking it up, and I'm like, "What? Why?" So I start making phone calls. I'm like, this whole thing was just really bizarre. And this is when I find out about, um, all these extra layers of corruption that were going on with receipts, and I'm reading these emails and these open records, and I'm just flabbergasted. Like, we live in the United States of America. And yes, I understand I'm very naive. Because I don't wanna think that our local government would be wrapped up in those kind of shenanigans. It's not appropriate at all. And so, at the beginning of that, of when I ran, I had to think back again. Okay. So while I was running for Village of Richfield trustee the first time, these neighbors, Doug Petrozates and Cheryl Bailey, actually circulated flyers throughout the community with their name and address on it. I mean, so they made it very public. And they, put on there things like, um, oh, actually, let's just go straight to the docs. I think I can open up my email. Unless you guys want to see the chicken song. We have a couple live viewers. Just because we have a couple live viewers, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grace. I am going to bless you with something that we played in the beginning of this video. Be prepared to be changed forever. make it stop. Wait, I did it to myself. Okay. Okay, let's go look at that email. So I'm pretty sure. Mm, Bear with me. I gotta share a different screen. So let's see. Present, share screen. Here we go. Sorry, Pepper. Okay. I gotta find I think it's. No, wait. I'm gonna find it. I know I can. Dana, you should put these on slides before you start your show. Yeah, I know. Okay, hold on. Right here. Here it is. Right here. So you can see right there, landfill community action from a concerned neighbor. And it says, a couple is proposing to turn the quarry at 609 Scenic Road into a landfill. The community has concerns and has created an email address to communicate our concerns and plans. If you would like to be added to this list, please send an email to scenicquarry@gmail.com. We are concerned about health of the community, dust, noise, safety, water, negative impact on the environment, like water contamination, ecosystem dust, and truck exhaust, hazards from traffic and debris from hundreds of dump trucks each day. I know I get sassy. I don't mean to, but ugh. Those with special health conditions, declining property values. Then they talk about me being the future landowner is running for village trustee. 2 seats are open. Okay. I remember people are like, how can you sue the village and run for trustee? Well, how can our village president's company be in a lawsuit with Richfield? Timberstone. Look it up on CCAP. I don't know how long things stay on CCAP. That's something else that someday we can cross that bridge, because I think a lot of reform needs to happen there. But like, I keep losing my train of thought. That keeps happening. I think it's the chicken. I wish I had like a button I could like hear the last 5 seconds so that I could just like reset myself back to where I was. Um Oh, I see my mom made a comment. Thanks, Mom. She laughed at me. Thanks, Mom. Um Maybe you could comment and remind me what I was talking about. I know I showed the flyer and I was saying something about. Oh, there we go. So the village president's company that he worked for, one of the sister companies, I don't know, it's a whole network of companies, and they're all under the same umbrella, and so anyway, Timberstone is part of that, and they were in litigation with Richfield. So so you can imagine how frustrating it is, right? Because people are like, "Why would you sue the village and run for trustee?" And I'm sitting there like, "But the village president's company is suing Richfield." Well, it's just the arguments are lame. They're lame. Every excuse, every objection I've been able to overcome. Every single objection. So the only thing I'm left with is that there's nobody in the village of Richfield at, at the government level that's willing to solve problems, right? They complain that it'll beat up the roads. I have an alternative driveway to use. It's the Hall Road that the gravel came out on. Nope, nope, gotta go intimidate the easement owner, okay? Well, there went that workaround, right? Not one house would be passed by a dump truck. But that's not the narrative that the village sells to the community. And it's frustrating and it's upsetting. And I was trying to put together these little clips for like other shows, like because a lot of people don't want to watch a whole thing. So like maybe we could just tell the story from some of the clips from the videos. So I'm putting that together and like um I look kind of mad. I kind of look angry all the time. I'm like, if our country fails, but what's funny is that's literally how passionate I feel about it, and there is some anger in there, like, oh, it's frustrating, it's so frustrating. So, um, so there was that workaround with the road, then it's like, "Well, we don't want this many trucks." Okay, well, then we'll agree to only this many trucks. We don't want any trucks. Well, you know, the groundwater, it's an important thing. But it can't be the groundwater. That can't be an actual concern of the villages, because if it was, they would care about the contamination that already went over there from the Timberstone development, or they would be concerned that the clean fill facility by Piggly Wiggly accepts low hazardous waste. They can try to tell me and the community that it's about the groundwater. It has more to do with the fact, as I've been told before, "Dana, we told you no, and you didn't listen." I was a really super annoying kid. Because I didn't disobey, like, in the, like, I'm gonna act out and be this, like, terrible kid. Mine was, like, sass. Like, I have a mouth. Gets me in trouble. Um, but anyways. So, yeah. I think most of their excuses fall on deaf ears. So this all started just very, um, contentious. So now you've got this guy that I share a boundary line with that we covered in the last episode, how he cut the culvert in half and tried to stake his claim with the fence, and then he lost in court and had to pay me damages for the culvert. Then he was very angry after that, which if you wanna go back and watch another episode, that one is like, I remember I covered the news story on CBS 58 of the horses running around, but that whole boundary dispute case happened, like, right before all those issues with the horses. And, so this guy's not happy. I am not this guy's bestie. Like, he is not sending me Christmas cards, okay? Um, well, he's got I gotta look on the map. I'm not sure how many acres, but I'm on 40 acres, and he's on at least, like, I wanna say 7 stands out in my mind, and 12, but I'd have to look it up to be certain. But it's not this isn't like one of these situations where we're, like, in a subdivision, and I have a chicken that's, like, going and, like, pecking on their crap and pooping on their stuff, like, this is a lot bigger. This is, like, wide open spaces. And what this neighbor does is he puts up a trail cam, like, right on the border. Okay, and I used to laugh. I'm like, "Man, my dog can wag its tail, and he must have some sort of, like, high-tech, like, laser, like a like an invisible line fence reversed." Like what you you caught the dog a foot on it's like box elder not box elder, buckthorn. It's like all buckthorn right there. So I just wanna make sure that people understand that this isn't like a chicken or duck or fill in the blank any other animal, is like just moseying on next door to this neighbor that's all crunched up neck. That's not how we live. This is, Richfield is a country way of life. Even our subdivisions have bigger lots. Um, I'm on. Can you grab me a soda? Thank you. So anyway, there goes my train of thought again. Oh, okay. So this guy's not happy with me. He's not happy with um the fact that he spent tens of thousands of dollars on an attorney. I don't know where they got the money. Maybe that's where RAD's donations go. I don't know. And for those who don't know, RAD is Richfield Residents Against Dump. And they are an LLC. So that's, I don't know. Maybe they gave them the funds since they didn't get to intervene in my case because the judge denied that. Or maybe they paid out of pocket. I have no clue. And it doesn't really affect me one way or another, but it does give this guy motive, right? Like, this guy does not like me. And our house is like, one of the complaints he made in the boundary dispute case was like, he thought that I was trying to cut away the trees so I can look into his house. Like, bruh, I know you guys are really curious about everything that I'm doing, but I don't give a I I could give a shit what you do at your own house. I'm not trying to watch you. That's weird. You guys are watching me though, like a lot, like a lot. So anyway, um, so now this dude is pissed and he starts to like these goofy things happen. Like there'll be beef jerky in the shoulder of the road. And, you know, um, one time I was watching a body cam and I'm gonna get you receipts of all this guys too. Hopefully I've been keeping up with the receipts I tell you I'm gonna give. Just like on the boundary dispute one, I did finally post the video that I found of the person that I'm talking about after he sawed my culvert in half. But, they found one way that they can get back at me. And my belief, in my opinion, based on what I've experienced and the evidence that I can show, is that they bait my animals. And then my animals simply get used to there being a treat over there, right? We haven't had problems with a lot of the other like, we haven't had any issues with horses or goats. Um, there was a pig several months ago, I don't know. But now they're giving me tickets for ducks and geese and a turkey. I like, you would think that they're, like, damaging property, right? You would think that this horrible doomsday thing is happening. Literally, it's like they just kind of cross the boundary line in the woods where there's a bait pile from time to time. I'm not saying there's a bait pile every time, But what I am saying is that when I have contained my animals and my fences end up broken, cut, and they coincide with things that happen in court, I know what I'm experiencing. And I think I've done a pretty good job at, like, showing you guys the receipts of how these things are happening. One thing about starting this channel I found is that I kind of, like, my self-doubt gets real big in my mind because, like, I know, like, in my mind, I'm running through, "Oh, what would the other side think if I say this or that?" And I just have to put it out, you know, because clearly they're not giving me that same respect. They're not putting themselves in our shoes, right? I personally think I'm a super fun neighbor, and it would have been really cool. So, I was thinking about this the other day. I wanna do, like, a whole episode of what this story could look like if the Village of Richfield actually followed the law. Isn't that fun? Like, think about how, like, in my mind, I think this would be a totally different story. I probably wouldn't have this YouTube channel, but it would be a totally different story. It would be like, oh, they could have approached it like Timberstone, new life for Pitt. They could have even gone a step further. They could have really helped us, like, with the PR, like they did for Payne and Dolan with Timberstone, our village president's company he worked for those of you that are new. New life for Pitt and veterans. Wow. Nope. Nothing. None of that. Nope. Crucify, 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 crucify. That's all they got. And they didn't have a right to do it, and they know that. And they should be ashamed of themselves, so. Okay, so this week, I have a jury trial. So, there must be, like, a new assistant district attorney that was put on my case. These poor saps, I feel like that's, like, a word I don't know how to properly use, saps. I feel like that's English. Hope it's not too derogatory, but anyways, I just mean sort of like, you know, whenever they get a new assistant district attorney, they're like, "Oh my god, Dana Zulik's in here with another animal ticket. Give it to that guy." Poor guy. It's kind of fun though, because every time they get a new one, I kind of think to myself, like, maybe this one will hear me. Maybe this one will see, right? Because it's not normal. There's always like between 3 and 5 cases that are open for animal at large. And then there's like over 100, I think on the docket or on the record, there's about 63 officially because, like they combine some of them sometimes into one. Ugh, there's been like well over 100. So it's like it's not like a normal thing. So the district attorney is looking like think of it if you're like the new guy, okay? Well, gonna go be a prosecutor in the prosecutor's office. And then they give you this case file. It's like this big. And it's about chickens. And this crazy lady wants like 3 jury trials right now for chickens. So the question I usually get is kind of this like puzzled look. And they're like, what's actually going on? Right? Because it defies logic. It's like once an episode, I have to get up and get my dog. Yeah. It does. It defies logic. It doesn't make any sense. And then now they're having to brief out jurisdictional issues and witnesses that aren't being cooperative. They don't want to come, they don't want to show up to some of them, and then some of them they can. And I just pay the jury fee, and it's my right to fight it, right? So I do. So there's always all these issues because there's so many of these cases. Like, even the new district attorney can't figure out which case is which. He's like, oh, because I bring up the issue of recusal. I said, well, I just don't know why Judge Gearnoth ever takes any of my cases, because she's prosecuted me for the same exact thing as a prosecutor. I don't think she gets to now be the judge. She's like, you know what? Now is my moment. Dana, you know why the chicken crossed the road. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Back when I was a prosecutor, I was really right. So now I'm going to be not biased and be able to put on my judge hat and not look at Dana like she's whatever you thought I was before. Nope. So I asked about recusal, and he's like looking through all the cases, and he's like, I don't see on here any cases that she had. Can you send those to me? So we did. And let me go there. Okay, hold on. Here we go. You guys can see that. Make it bigger. Okay, so look. So we filed this motion for recusal, requesting you recuse yourself from the above referenced animal at large case due to a conflict of interest, and then have this case reassigned to another Washington County Circuit Court judge to preside over my jury trial in this case. Your conflict of interest derives from being the lead prosecutor for the Washington County District Attorney's Office in several of my past animal at large cases. In support of my motion for recusal, I am providing the following CCAT case records. So that there's 5. So guys, you have to understand how frustrating this is. Because I'm having to go to court, do this, do that, keep track of who did what, when, where, how, and the like. They have me just running in circles. But here they are. All the cases. And some of them were like, I mean, look at how much time is going into this. Look at all this. Guys, this is for my chickens and ducks. And we're not talking like there's like a herd. Are they flocks or herds? It's not like there's like, I only have like 6 chickens, maybe 8 now. It's not that many. What is that? Mom, I almost actually posted that. People can read it in the comments if they want, but yes. Amen. But anyways, this judge has already recused herself from being a judge at these cases. You think she forgot who I was? Do you think she was like, why did she just start taking my cases again? But then she recused herself on other ones. So I personally don't think that this case is going forward on Tuesday, although they keep telling me it's going to. But ever since we proved the recusal, there was some drama at the courthouse because apparently I'm not allowed to email the district attorney. This assistant district attorney emailed me and then asked me for documents, so I emailed him back. And then all of a sudden, it's like, um, I get this call and I think it's him because it's a 355, like a West Bend number. So then I answer and it's the clerk and she's like really mad. My friend heard the whole thing. I feel like I was in the principal's office. This woman was mad. Like she was like, "Oh, look at Bob. I could show what she said." Yes, I agree. Truth never changes. That's true. I mean, it's just what's true is true, right? But anyways, this lady was angry. And I've been going through this for so long that I'm not going to like engage in an argument with her. I just let her give me her little bitch fest. You can't be emailing documents. And none of those are going to be opened. And I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm completely fine with that. I understand. I did not know that I did something wrong. I don't know if this district attorney is new, but perhaps you need to have a conversation with him because I simply just did what he requested." I guess my crime was that I listened this time. He said, "Email me the following documents." I emailed the following documents. And this lady's like, "No, you cannot. That is like a foul. You and your foul. Get it? Foul. Birds." It's a bad joke. Um, yeah, so I think the judge is probably going to recuse herself. But if not, we have Doug Petrozzati. I guess who's going to be the witness. So now this assistant district attorney is making all these other motions to the court. Like, no, you can't. We can only talk about the date of the incident, not before, not after. Because I'm like, this dude has a motive to make sure that I pay, right? I mean, he's that's all he's got. So I wanted to argue that there is well, there's a few things I'm arguing, but I'm trying to show that he's got intent, he's got motive, and he's just not a credible guy. So I want to be able to defend my position, present the evidence in court that he sawed my culvert in half, that he actively opposes my business. Yeah, they did. Yeah. They accepted pictures from the neighbors' trail cams, right. And you know what's interesting about that is I actually had trail cam pictures of them trespassing, and, um, it might not have been them in particular, but, like, somebody trespassing. And the sheriff's department is like, "Well, How do we know that's on your property? It just looks like trees. What? Well, with that theory, how do I know my chickens are by Doug Petrozzati's? Just trees. But anyways, I wanna be able to show what he did, which was just dirty, um, by telling the bankruptcy court that I owed him, like $73,000 or something, which put me over the threshold for the Chapter 13. And yes, I'm oversharing. If you're new, welcome to Dana and oversharing. It's what I like to do best. But somehow they took the time to look at the bankruptcy because uh there's like, "Mom, stop distracting me with your comments. I can't think already, and then you gotta go distract me, and you're my mom, so I feel very like I must respond." Um, Now you made me lose my train of thought. Where were you at? Or where was I at? Okay, so for those of you, that don't watch a lot of YouTube channels, I'm a YouTube channel junkie. But right, thank you. Thank you. That's Thank you. How did he know about my bankruptcy? Because they're always going on CCAP, and they're following everything that happens. And they admit that in open records that I've gotten. You know, you know what? She's having a really hard time in her personal life. You know what we should do? No. It's what you should not do. So, my assumption is, I just personally think when he had that meeting with, Macy, my personal belief is that's when that happened because of the timing, and it just seemed weird. You know, they went and had this, like, secret little meeting in Waukesha at Macy's firm, and the whole thing just sounds icky and gross, right? So, John Macy, Jim Healy, so for those that don't know, John Macy is the village attorney. Jim Healy is the village administrator, and they, um, had a meeting with my neighbor Doug and his attorney in Waukesha. Oh, yeah, that's a good point because the case in Washington County was stayed, so they probably saw it under the multiple other cases. Right, right, I agree with you there. But then, like, do you think they paid to find out how much they had to claim in damages fraudulently to the bankruptcy court, because they actually didn't win? But they tell the bankruptcy court, and they knew the exact amount to put me over that threshold. I still don't understand that. I still don't understand how they got away with that. Um, I was filing bankruptcy at the time, so clearly, I didn't have the money to keep going and filing motions at the bankruptcy court for yet another, right? It's just yet another. It just keeps going and going. This is new, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You would think. I don't know. But I don't know. The whole thing, it's just frustrating. It's hard to even talk about, but, um, it just it's just weird. It just seems like there's so much effort and energy. Like, could you imagine if the village of Richfield actually took that amount of time and put it into better things that bring us together, right? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like like I was saying earlier, like, sometimes I think to myself, like, we should do a whole episode of what would it be like if, um, Richfield had agreed with it? New life for Pitt, right? New life for veterans, new life for community. I don't know. I mean, they kinda, they take the hippie tree hugger angle all the time with me. That's fine. I love me some hippie tree huggers. It's fine by me. Um, I don't know. This is so new having to deal with this. Yeah, new life for Pitt, like the Jacqueline Pit. Okay. Good advice in the chat. Thank you, chat. If you filed an objection to the claim, it gets set for a hearing, I believe. Oh. I think I was having a problem with their payment system too. But it was for both of those reasons. I could have fixed the system though. That one was something I could have pushed through and fixed, but since it was over the threshold and they were dismissing it anyway, I'm like, all right. I wish some of those government like payment system things, they're just always like anytime you have to pay for something, even with the DMV, it's like they have all these other weird ways to pay. And it's always like, feels like you're like 10 years ago on the internet. Hope I'm not the only one that has this experience. But that's what it's like. It's like, why do I feel like I'm looking at this old computer? Like it looks like it comes out on like that weird holy paper that. Hey, did you guys in the chat see the chicken song yet? I'm not going to do it again. But if somebody requests it, I might not be able to resist hitting the button. So that's it. I mean, there's going to be a jury trial. Oh, somebody says they didn't. Well, then we're just going to have to. Hold on. I just can't even with this song. Wait. Ready? Like, what is happening? I just can't. This is how it's like I know I should stop, but I can't stop watching it. Pepper, you're hurting my soul and my live stream. Anyways, so that's about all I got. I was going to go through a bunch of geeky documents and stuff, but I really don't think this case is going to end up happening on Tuesday because of I think she's going to have to recuse herself. But in the event that she wants to keep doing it, then, I guess we're having a trial, and then I'll just do something on Monday about the rest of it, because there's all these other issues, like whether it's a duck or a goose, whether the turkeys are wild turkey. There's a lot of questions. It's a very serious. It's a very serious. My kids hate it when my mouth gets like that because it's like my angry face. But that's all we're gonna do tonight. It was kind of a weird show. We had fun with the chicken song. Went over a couple things about the case. So, what? Are you watching me? Just leave. I'm getting off anyways. I mean, I'm getting off the computer.
Talk. Finish up. Sorry.
So anyways, before we go, does anybody have any questions? There is the jury trial on Tuesday, unless the judge recuses herself, which, in my opinion, I think she's going to recuse herself. Because she's already had to recuse herself like twice at least already. I mean, perhaps if they started looking into like local government corruption and spent this much time and money on holding our government officials accountable, if they took all the time and resources they put into my chickens that have not damaged anything anywhere, I don't know. I think our community deserves people that represent them with integrity. Is the trial with the DNR? No. That's one of the many arguments that I make jurisdictionally. I believe it's a statewide concern. And because it's to prevent local governments from discriminating against clean fill facility owners, that's why I believe it covers the chicken issue and should be with the DNR. It's, that's what I argue. But it's the county technically. So even though it's not a DNR ticket, but it's enforcement of a village ordinance. But because we contract with the county sheriff, that's where it comes from. So, but I never got to make my jurisdictional argument. I was going to appeal that thing. We even did a briefing schedule and everything. I was so excited. I was like, the judge wanted to see a briefing schedule on the jurisdictional issue about whether or not, they even had the right to issue these tickets in the first place instead of using a warden. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't have to keep the fine money. Right. Man, I'm telling you, the biggest change for me on tonight is actually having people who I appreciate in the chat, and then having to go back to my thought that I was thinking. So be careful, I'm going to make you moderators. But anyways, crap, where was I at? We can hear you swearing in the other room. I think the dogs might have got into something. But anyways, so I can't remember. It's gone. Oh, thank you. Jurisdiction. So we got to brief it out, and we go through all of the stuff, and then they get to the end when the trial's gonna start, and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna dismiss it." I'm like, "Dude, I wanted to appeal your decision because she said that, I was interpreting my own case law." Wasn't even case law that I was cited. But in my case, I was interpreting my case too broadly when I think the Court of Appeals went into very specific detail about how broad it is on purpose so that stuff like this stops happening. Like, it's almost like nobody knows what to do with this case because, like, the laws are already in place, right? Like, they're there already. Like, this issue has come up before the Supreme Court before, and they're like, this kind of causes a big shit show in communities. We're just gonna go ahead and be like, local government, we'll take the blame. You know, we we'll take one for the team so that the community doesn't hate you. Richfield, Payne and or Timberstone didn't need that though, right? Payne and Dolan. They didn't need that. They had the blessings of the village board and the new life for Pitt. But because the legislature knows that this is an issue that can come up in communities, they don't want local governments being selective like Richfield is trying to be. They don't want them to be like, "You know what? I think you can have a clean fill facility, but you know what? You over there, you can't." And it's for this exact reasons, or is this exact reason. It's the Timberstone issue. It's the um it it's the clean fill facility by the pig. And our village president's ties into aggregate producers and the road builders, right? So and that's what I'm asking the community to look at. That's what I'm asking any viewer who's listening to this story. Don't let them distract you with this, okay, I suck at keeping my chickens put away because I like to free range my chickens on my 40 acres. And my nasty neighbors like to throw bait into the shoulders of things, and then the chicken, I mean, it's just a shit show, right? I did get rid of animals for a couple of years because I was tired of all the fines and then I got to thinking, I'm like, I should be, but they can just wag a feather, or no, wag a tail, ruffle a feather, right across that little boundary line. I was saying earlier in the episode, I feel like Doug and Cheryl have like this high tech military grade like sensor on their boundary. They just hear a beat coming and they're like, "Ew," it's the alarms. You Um, but that's what they want you to be distracted with. The crazier I look, the less you look at them. The stranger I look and the more bad I look, nobody's looking at them. Simple, right? And they have every reason to make sure that I'm quiet and that they try to make me sound crazy and do all these things. That's fine. I'm good enough at making myself crazy. I don't need your help. I'm an artist. That's like a compliment. You're a crazy pit lady. Me? Um, the point being is like, you got these people that are expecting, you know, their local officials to be honest with them. And that to me was the hardest thing to accept. I'm like, these guys can't be that crooked. And I keep uncovering more things. And not even just with me. Just wait, guys. When we start getting into other people's cases, I've shed tears over it. Like, where's the humanity? So I really hope that we can find new people to run in Richfield. And for all those people that are listening out there that might not be from this area, anywhere you live in the country, get involved in your local government. Because that's where we have the most power. Our vote is worth the most at the local level. And you have, you know, a duty, really, right? That what one of our forefathers says, it's not just a right, it's a duty to hold your government accountable when they're corrupt. And I feel because I enlisted and served in the Army, I took that oath, and that meant something to me. It did. I mean, I never knew when I started digging into this, I was gonna go down the rabbit holes I went down, but I did. And I'm glad I did because I have been able to help some people. There are people out there going through similar things, but I don't know. Here we are. So I think I've babbled enough. We're gonna go live tomorrow. I kind of want to. I'm still in the learning stages of this YouTube channel thing. I'm getting little by little, getting used to it. Hoping to look a lot more professional in the coming weeks. And I'm also coming up with ideas for content to make it, more entertaining. I think the short videos are the way to kind of go. So we'll put together, just some fun videos that kind of show the shenanigans in Richfield going on and see if we can't laugh a little, because how does Melanie Little say that? If we're not laughing, we might just cry. Something like that. Because sometimes all you can do is laugh. So anyways, thank you for joining me tonight on Local Wars, and it's been fun. I had dementia like 8 million times during this thing. That's okay. I'm just glad we have more activity in the chat, and that's just going to be something I have to get used to as I do this. It's a lot of multitasking. So, but you guys have a great evening, and I love each and every single one of you, whether you believe me or not. Good night. Bye.